You know, one of the reasons why I'll never, ever, ever want to get pregnant again is because men don't have no clue how postpartum works, like at all. Like, they have zero empathy, zero, not all. Men, don't kill me, not all. But they lack logic and understanding when it comes to women with postpartum depression, when you're feeling suicidal, when you're feeling overwhelmed. They want you, certain men still want you to go back to work soon. I never, ever, ever would put my body through that ever again. And yeah, I mean, you picked the wrong person, so it's your fault, I guess. But, it's just like, I would never in my life want to feel like I felt after having my son ever again. The worst feeling is feeling like you're alone.
I want to say that this type of talk gets you nowhere. Yeah, men won't understand postpartum depression, but men understand depression. So on the flip side, instead it's like, oh, men don't understand this, men don't understand that. Hey, you pick your partner, help him. How about help him understand? Because I would say this, maybe it's my own view, but most women don't even understand it themselves. They don't understand why this, why that. They really don't understand postpartum itself. I get it that it's hormonal, it's the inner workings, because you had a pump of hormones, right? When you have a baby and it's just drained. So I understand it in maybe a hormonal sense, but how would you understand someone's state of mind, their feelings, unless you talk to them? This is the thing where a lot of women, they talk about, what you're saying, empathy, but women say like better communication skills. Well, part of it is actually talking to your partner, right? Helping him understand. This is the thing that nobody can understand, really your type of depression. I mean, I'm talking about just depression, your individual type of depression, because every woman, every man will feel depression differently. And when it comes to postpartum, the reasoning for that depression men would not understand it necessarily. I think men will empathize for it, but I mean, you have to actually talk to him for him to understand what he should be, sympathetic to, what he should be empathizing from, right? A lot of women, they just like, they give you an attitude. They say they're depressed. They say all this. They don't want this. They say these things, but they don't give men a good, truly a logical reasoning. Because she's saying logical. No, you're not. When it comes to emotions, there's really not logic to it. But you can explain it to a man where it is logical. Where, you know what, you're just in a state of hormonal influx, instability, right? And then what does that hormonal instability affect you as? Maybe maybe you don't feel the love for your child. Maybe you don't feel the drive to do something. Those are being understandable. I think a lot of women, they talk about communication, but sometimes they don't really understand it themselves to actually communicate with your partner. And like she said, you picked who you picked. You just picked the type of man that didn't try to have a better communication with you, and you picked the type of man that you didn't feel the need to really communicate your feelings to. I also think it's funny the part where she said like, oh, just go back to work and stuff like that. It's funny that when men feel depressed, no one's there to lift them up or to give them the sympathy that they need. Really, no one. That's why suicide, right, for men is at a high rate, because no one's there for them. So men know the feeling of being depressed. But for men, a logical counter to that is like, pick yourself up and let's get going. Because I've been depressed, and one of the things that helped me move on is that I have two choices. I either stay depressed, and which will eventually kill me, or I pick myself up, gain that strength, and move forward. That's more of a logical solution base. You have to understand how to communicate with men to get what the conversation or whatever that you want. Men and women are different. This is the thing where women don't understand that we're just different people, right? We think differently, we feel differently. So you have to communicate with men in a different way, but you have to communicate. And it has to be clear, not so emotion based, because if you're crying, you're being hot tempered, whatever, all this emotional based conversation is not going nowhere. Where you just sit down, be logical, be straightforward, be clear and concise. That is better for a man than you being in your emotions and talking to him. Because then when you're in an emotional state, it's just, you're not logical. That's just how it is. So I think women like this, they don't give good advice, nor do they take good advice, nor they can take good advice. Because saying men don't sympathize or understand, no, because you're not giving a man chance, and you're picking terrible men. Like I said, that's it.
God, boom. Like, come in.
Ladies, before you get married, be a hoe. Be the biggest hoe you can be before you say I do to one flavor. I want you to try as many flavors as you can, honey. Because when I tell you there are some flavors out there, whoo!
Can I confess something? I love my kid. I fucking hate being a mom. I fucking hate being a parent. Like, I fucking hate it. And I feel bad for saying that, but like, I wish someone would have let people with BPD know that like we really shouldn't be moms. Like, having a kid is too fucking complicated. And I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to be responsible for this tiny human. I just want to be responsible for myself, and it's too late now. I didn't know parenthood was going to be like this. I didn't know I was going to be doing it all by myself with no support system, no family, no anything. I didn't know. If I would have known, I would have never done it. I would have never.
What was y'all saying is y'all tight?
If you can find a black man that likes black women, let me know.
Wait, stand right here. Stand right here.
Okay, go find one. Go find one.
I found one.
Not
He right here.
Not that one.
This was a perfect example of the delusion of women. So in this clip, she said, if you can find a black man that likes black women, let me know. And he said, right here, I'm a black man that likes black women. She said, no, not you. This is the thing where women will complain about all men when actuality, they have only dealt with a few men or only attracted to a few men. So they complain about all men, saying men are cheater, men are da, whatever. And yet when certain type of men that are counter to their gripes, right, their views of what men they've dealt with, they're not attracted to them, they don't want them, no, they're not into it. So let's say they think men are cheaters, and yet a man that's not a cheater comes up to them and step on, holler at them, want to take them out, they're not interested. So this is the thing that women don't understand. You complain, but you only complain about the top 20% of men. You're only interested in a certain type of men, or a certain caliber of men, or a certain percent of men. And yet you think that all men are the same. That is the problem. That is the delusion of women, where they think that all men are like this, when you don't even, most men are invisible to most women. So really, no, you're deluded in the way you think. You get hurt and traumatized by a certain type of men, and yet why don't you change those perspective? No, because you're attracted to what you're attracted. So the toxicity only attracts toxicity. You don't want anything else. So this is the delusion of women.